no, that's so interesting because Prabhupada told that to me in 1969 in New Vrindavan, right? And I spoke it here and you heard me say it. So you heard Prabhupada saying it in 1969 in New Vrindavan through me. And I said, ha, 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 doesn't that prove the point? When the time came to say it, I said it, even though I wasn't thinking about it 2 minutes ago. And then you did the same thing. You heard it from Srila Prabhupada through me. Because if we tell the truth of the spiritual master, it doesn't matter who's in between, as long as the transmission is well-intended and accurate. And so now you've said it, and now you came to that same conclusion. And I just want to, the reason I'm saying anything at all is just I'm filled with the loving enthusiasm that you, I just realized, have just heard from Srila Prabhupada in 1969, when you were still in your previous birth. You like that?
Hi, Haribol.
Haribol.
This is Mr. Goshti.
Yes.
The link for 10K. We have to spread the virus of hearing.
And I want to make it absolutely clear that I have nothing against Bashish, personally. I think he's very bright, very brilliant. But if he wants to take part in this discussion, he has to humble himself to be one of us, not just him. I know the answer, and you peasants don't.
Yes.
We're not here to. This Sagosi actually has the effect of erasing class distinction.
Yeah, another thing I've noticed is that people, not devotees, are actually sometimes scared to come on these types of meetings. You know, I've invited some of the ISKCON initiated disciples, and they're very reluctant to come here because, you know, they know we discuss heavy things, you know. And it's very logical, very sane, it's backed up. So they're actually scared because they would need to, I mean, it like challenges is their, I mean, it challenges what they know and how they've been living their whole lives, you know?
Do you think they've been told not to think about certain thoughts and say certain things?
I don't know, because, you know, I mean, it seems to me that they're very reluctant to come on.
Well, it's Catholic Church mentality, you know?
Yeah.
If you listen to something, it's the devil tempting you or something like that.
Right. So that's something I've been noticing, because whatever we are discussing out in openly, it's very open and very clear. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, even if there's doubts about it, let's discuss it here. You know, we're not hiding anything.
Oh, the Sacramento people you are saying?
Yeah, yeah, Sacramento people. They're like, oh, don't bring other people here. I'm like, come on here. Let's talk. You know, on the Goshti. Let's talk, equals. But they're very reluctant. They're like, oh, I don't need to talk here. Then I said, oh, then we cannot have a discussion. Then, you know, we cannot work together. You know?
We're going against the initiators kind of thinking. So
yeah. Yes. Because I don't know, it's something that I've noticed.
No, isn't the mentality of the initiator? Look, you've come into this movement. I'm the initiator for this particular temple. I will give you Diksha, but don't listen to anybody else, because if you do, you will not make spiritual advancement. It doesn't matter if what they say is true or false. You should only hear from me and not anyone else. That's what Prabhupada said about himself. And as Prabhupada's bona fide successor, then you should hear that same thing from me. And though then the disciple or the initiate goes around thinking, I can't dare listen to anything that wasn't said by my spiritual master.
Yes.
So our goal with the League for 10,000 Years, our goal is so that they will begin to question the authenticity of that restriction on their freedom of thought.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, at least in America, freedom of thought is guaranteed in the Constitution. That's being challenged right now, but nonetheless, that's in the Constitution. That was a Masonic addition to the thinking of the monarchy mentality that came from England. And so here we have it here. Istagosti means freedom of thinking. Free thinker. You can, if you think that God does not exist, if you're an initiated devotee and you've taken sannyas and you say, Prabhus, I would apologize except for one thing. This is Istagosti, and I can express my doubt. Okay, Maharaj, what is your doubt? Mm-hmm. I really doubt that Krishna exists. Now, isn't that freedom for a sannyasi to be able to say something like that?
Yeah.
But look at like Bhagavan. He promises to take a disciple, his initiate, back to Godhead. But he would have been better off going to Istagosti and saying, I question that Krishna exists. And then he could have remained as a devotee once we had sorted that out with him in Istagosti. But the initiators have made themselves Istagosti proof. So what does that leave us? We have no choice except to go to our only choice is to go to the rank and file and say, you do have a choice. You may exercise it. Well, what is my choice? Istagosti. In Istagosti, there's nobody is higher than anybody else. Even my Guru Maharaj, particularly your Guru Maharaj. It states right there in the Nectar of Instruction that he initiates only people on this same level. And that you are being given, as we're pointing out to you, for your sake, not for ours. We're not creating a movement. We're upholding a movement. We're upholding the ISKCON movement as Prabhupada created. So we're not trying to destroy your guru or destroy ISKCON. What we're doing is coming out and speaking the truth as enunciated and iterated in Srila Prabhupada's books. Excuse me, Mr. Initiator Chela. Do you have a problem with that? Why can't you question your initiator based on his initiator or his initiator's initiator, Srila Prabhupada?
Jai. Uttama
Adhikari, not a Kanista Adhikari wearing a hat.
Jai.
So go ahead.
Manu Prabhu, what's next? Which one are we reading next, Manu Prabhu?
This one.
Okay.
Who's going to read?
Matthew Prabhu, please. Maybe Matthew Prabhu can read.
Krishna consciousness is not for the fools. It is not for the fools. Highly intelligent class of man, he can understand the philosophical aspect of Krishna consciousness. But the thing is so attractive that even a child, even a fool is attracted. Yes, that is the beauty. Although it is very difficult to understand this philosophy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced the system that anyone can take it. Hare Krishna.
Right. Powerful. Krishna consciousness is not for the fools. It is not for the fools. Highly intelligent class of men. He can understand the philosophical aspect of Krishna consciousness. But the thing is, it is so attractive that even a child, even a fool is attracted. Look at Prabhupada's writing. Huh? He's saying this is for the most highly intelligent person, but then he says it that even a fool is attracted. So you see the writings, how Srila Prabhupada is writing here. He actually writes like this in the Nectar of Instruction, where he says, Kanishta and Madhyam can initiate. And then he says at the end that it will be insufficient guidance. Therefore, a Uttamadakari should be the spiritual master. So if you study his language very scrutinizingly, he uses certain patterns. You know. Narayan Prabhu? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
How he
No, I agree. And on the record, he says even a child can take part in it. He said even a dog can take part in it. When I first heard that, I could envision, the child taking part, the little kid dancing with the adults. The little kids like to dance. And when they hear the holy name and the adults are in ecstasy, the child gets a power attachment or a contact high by the chanting, and he begins to dance. Why? Because it's natural for a child to dance. It's natural for everyone to dance. So people dance in the context of politics, formal dancing like the Venus waltz, all of these things, sexy dancing, or what's it called? The rock, the rave party dancing. That is dancing. But when the child sees the adults dancing to Hare Krishna, feeling the beginnings of upliftment, the beginnings of spiritual awakening, the beginnings of, oh my God, this can't be true, I'm beginning to feel bliss. When a person begins to experience Krishna consciousness kinetically, the child seeing that, he will do it. But I like so much, because in my mental state of hearing that record, I could just see a dog coming there, seeing everybody dancing. Why wouldn't the dog dance? Not because they're dancing, but they dance because the dog is spirit soul. So he may dance here and there normally, but when it's kirtan, if the dog dances, it's the jiva waking up that's dancing of the dog.
Right.
So that we have to realize is so simple. And if I could make the distinction, when Prabhupada says, it's so common, he made a statement like that once. It's too difficult for the complicated, and
it's easy for the simple, or something like that, and difficult for the complicated, or something. Yeah, let me find it.
What I heard is it's simple for the simple-minded and complicated for the complicated.
Yes. Or crooked, something like that. Yes. Simple for the simple, yes.
But he said that in this statement here. The greatest philosophers can tax their brains to understand Krishna consciousness philosophically. Prabhupada uses that word, I think.
Oh yes, this is, Prabhupada says, but it is simple for the simple, but it is very hard for the crooked. This is that's the exact quote from a lecture Prabhupada gives in 1969. So I'll share it, people can see.
But if a person wants to understand Krishna consciousness as a philosophy, even the best philosopher will have to sit down and say, it's amazing, but I have to give up. It's too complicated for me. I can't understand it rationally. It goes beyond my rational thinking. And which is fine. Let the philosopher ponder these things. If it goes beyond his rational thinking, there's nothing wrong with that. Because he's a philosopher. Let him struggle. Let him work at it. But on the other hand, it is so simple, and Prabhupada says because of Lord Chaitanya. So I'm hinting that because of Lord Chaitanya, we can all become like the child dancing in ecstasy. And we can get all the other jivas, like children, also to dance with us. And we can do it for another 9,500 years. All I can say is, once we get over our material angst and our desire to get the hell out of here no matter what, and get back to Godhead no matter what, once we give over that sense of panic that we have when a child reaches the terrible twos, he begins to panic because his being the center of the universe has suddenly been challenged by a lot of other children that he didn't even pay attention to existing before then.
Yes.
So he was in the center of the universe. Now he's not. Now he's somewhere. He's in the center of his mother's universe, but he's not in the center of the universe. They thought that his mother was the universe, so he was very happy until he became two. So that terrible two is really the dominant feature of human race. Everybody's trying to make up for having realized they're not God.
Yeah, that quote we were reading, it has a major connection with that verse I was referring to, and I found it also. It's if we could read it, it's the 33rd.
Which verse? Matthew Prabhu?
Light of the Bhagavatam.
Light of the Bhagavatam. Okay. Light of the
Bhagavatam or the light of the Bhagavat?
Light of the Bhagavat.
Okay. Let me find that book.
So here, Srila Rupa Goswami is defining Krishna consciousness over here.
Okay. Matthew Prabhu, maybe you can go ahead and read this one, then I'll find in the light of the Bhagavad.
Srila Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness in this way. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 255 through 256, Gita 6:10. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feeling of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental and he is always alone. Having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi. Jai.
Jai.
Right.
But the thing is that we can say, well, what Prabhupada is pointing out is that the person who renounces just to renounce material things is actually still a materialist. He's an anti-materialist materialist, not a materialist materialist. But a devotee is not an anti-material materialist. When he renounces, he doesn't have to renounce because all he has to do is realize to whom it actually belongs.
Yes.
Ishavasyam midam sarvam. He knows to whom everything actually belongs.
Right. Very good point. Very good insight.
So supposing I come into your house and I see you have a very nice dish on the table, I can't pick it up and walk out the door with it. For the simple reason is I know for a fact it's not mine. So similarly, how can I try to lord it over Krishna's material energy when it's clearly, if I'm a jiva, it's clearly not, never has been, and never will be mine. The illusion even belongs to Krishna, not that he's interested in illusions, but it definitely doesn't belong to me. So if I separate myself from the illusion, then I'm separating myself from body consciousness at the same time, because my sense of being the body is an illusion, obviously. And so I look in the mirror and I say, good God, how did I get stuck inside that thing? Meaning the body that I've got, you know? Instead, people look in the mirror and say, well, I think I look good today. Oh, I need to shave. Oh, if I'm a lady, I need to put on some kohl on my eyes and a bit of mascara. That will help, you know? But why? I mean, we can do it because we play a role in the mature world. But if I think it's me, oh, then the whole thing is spoiled. I mean, a woman could dress very beautifully. Why not? She has a woman's body. But why should she think that's her? That's where the mistake is. I'm acting within the context, dharmic context of being in a woman's body. Therefore, I will do it nicely. I do it badly. I will do it nicely.
Yes. Yes.
But that doesn't mean that woman considers this as me. If she's Mirabai, or that, what is the name of that wonderful woman who a prince, very handsome prince, fell in love with her and tried to figure out every way of marrying her. And her father wanted her to marry him because he was a good catch for a king to have his daughter marry this particular prince. And she simply wouldn't do it. You know the story about liquid beauty?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhupada. Yes, yes. Very graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the prince kept coming. And she couldn't shake him loose because she was like Mirabai. She was only interested in bhajan and in seva to Krishna. And so he kept on begging, and his father kept on saying, stop disobeying. And so he said, okay, I will agree, but only after 30 days. And come back, and then we'll talk about marriage. So during those 30 days, she took emetics, meaning she took stuff that made her vomit. She took other things that were diuretic, whatever. It made her poop nonstop. She drank lots of liquid, didn't eat food. And by the end of 30 days, and she saved all the vomit and all the poop and the urine in a big jar. A big clay jar, you know, like a you can expect a genie to jump out of genie in the lamp sort to jump out of the jar like that. And at the end of 30 days, there she was, skin and bone, bedraggled, her eyes bulging out, redness around her eyes and her mouth. Her hair was straggly, falling out also, and her feet were not nice. She hadn't bathed in a month. And the prince came in and started looking around. Where is that girl? Where is that girl? She wanted his princess. But he was so excited. He was all like Sisupal chasing after Rukmini. He was so sure of himself. And said, where is she? She said she will marry me today. We'll arrange to get married starting today. We'll make my proposal. He went around the courtyard looking everywhere. He said, where is she? She said she would be in this courtyard. And this wretched, hunched over, skeletal creature says, I am her. He said, ha, 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 ha. She's pulling a trick on me, isn't she? She sent a village idiot or a beggar or something to represent her. Where is she? Where is the girl? He said, that's me. And she gave him uncontrovertible proof by saying certain things that they had only spoken to each other and stuff like that. And he said, that's it? Yes, well, it sounds like you, but what happened to you? He said, well, I ran into a little health problem. And I said, where is your beauty? And she said, well, due to a health problem, I had to take my beauty. My beauty came out, but don't worry, my dear darling prince who's so dying to marry me. Don't worry, I saved it all for you. And he said, you saved your beauty for me? And you remained like this? as a sacrifice? What an amazing person you are. So where is this beauty? In what form is it? It's liquid. It's liquid beauty. Oh my God, you can imagine bathing in it and becoming twice as handsome. Imagine taking an ordinary farm girl and plunging her into it and have her come out as beautiful or more so as the princess. So he said, where? He said, over there in that big clay jar, you know, sort of with jar with shoulders and a smaller hole in the top. Go there. He went over to the jar filled with, lost interest in the girl. Now he wanted the beauty, liquid beauty. He went galloping over there and looked inside. It stank. It was stool and urine and vomit. A month's worth. So it was pretty ripened stool, urine, and vomit. He said, what is this horrible stuff? Why are you saying this is liquid beauty? So it is. That's what you like to me. I was vomiting and pooping uncontrollably because of a certain disability I developed when you were gone. But I saved it for you because that's what you admired. That is my beauty, the liquid beauty. It is just pus, blood, stool, urine, like that. And there it is. It's all yours. And the prince grabbed his hair, started shrieking, and ran out the door as fast as he could go.
Jai. Okay, amazing pastime. It's called Liquid Beauty in the Bhaktivedanta database, if anyone wants to.
Go for it.
Matthew Prabhu wanted us to read the Light of Bhagavad, so I have it. Prabhu, what verse you wanted to focus?
33.
Okay, 33. Okay, let me load it up.
Yeah, it's like even like connected to this other one we just read, like as well. About
liquid beauty.
Okay, find it. Right. Let's see.
Is it okay if I have a quick question for Naranaran Prabhu while you're searching for that?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Prabhu, I just wanted to know your role in the writings of Srila Prabhupada in his books. I do know you've been a part of so many activities he's done, so just wanted to know what are the things that you did for the books?
Well, in 1975, the artists were in the middle of illustrating the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there was a couple of artists, Radharani for one, for her own motives, and another, Jairam, who painted that amazing picture of Dhanvantari that you see on the cover of a book. He was my tenant in an apartment. I had an apartment I cut in half. He and his wife took half of it. And he wanted me to come because Radharani was giving him such a hard time, wanting him to paint in the same style that she did. And so they got me over there, and one thing led to another, and the artist demanded that I become the director of the art department. So what did I do? I have a strong art background. Both my parents were artists, fairly famous ones in America at least, and I was raised with art. So it was very easy for me to teach what I thought they needed to learn, which I ended up calling Neo-Vedic Art, meaning Neo-Vedic means I took classical Western art, like you see Rubens or Rembrandt and people like that painting formally, and I then combined it with the Vedic Shilpa Shastra and all of the exact descriptions as Prabhupada described Krishna looks, Radha looks, everybody, what their clothes are, how their mustache looks, what sort of clothes do they wear, how do they hold their clothes on. All of that we had codified. And so I began directing the composition of the paintings, which I felt had not yet been well planned. And so I did that. And I ended up doing it. I started out just to do it in 1975, but by the time we got on, the artists became addicted because they wanted my guidance. Why? Because I was helping them make their paintings much, much better. And if you look at the paintings up to the 5th canto and after the 5th canto, they show the idea of what the concept of Neo-Vedic art produced. The compositional strength of Western art, because Indian art is prone to be two-dimensional, and then the exact Shilpa Shastra means finger joints. Well, Shilpa Shastra means a lot of things, but in the case of painting, it's measured in finger joints. So Krishna's arm is so many finger joints long. His fingers, when I say finger joints, I mean you hold up your finger like that, and that measurement is the Shilpa Shastra unit. So it says it's 10 units, then you just go with your finger. You go with your finger like that, and you know how long his arm is, you see? So we studied all of that stuff. And then I used Western composition and Western perspective in the paintings to give them a more international flavor. So I ended up referring to that style, and we even published a magazine describing it called Neo-Vedic Art, meaning Neo-Vedic means not of the two-dimensional style of, the Congress School of Jaipur and places like that, or the pictures by Banerjee, S.C. Banerjee, or the paintings by, I forget his name. Because they tended to not need 3 dimensions because they weren't living in a mechanical society. When you're in a mechanical society and you're driving a car, you jolly well better have a 3-dimensional sense, or they're going to hit something. But if all you have is an ox cart, it's very easy just to see the whole thing 2-dimensionally, just like in the Rajasthan paintings from the Kishangarh Valley and from, I forget the other one. You see? So, so that's what I did for 5 years, from the 5th canto to part of the 10th canto. And before they kicked me out of the art department, because they went to Rameshwar and said that Rameshwar was a very great devotee, but he wasn't a pure devotee on the same level as Prabhupada. So that was enough to get me kicked out of the movement. Essentially kicked out of the movement, because that was heresy from the new guru point of view. Anyhow, so I went on to become a famous art restorer. And they said Narayan knows how to spend money, but he doesn't know how to make money. So I went out in restoring art. I made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this very short period of time. And so, I mean, partly I just was so angry and bitter at what they had done to throw me out. But there was more to the story than that. But if you want to know what I did in relationship with Prabhupada, that is one thing. What did you exactly ask me, Shraya Prabhu? That certainly answers part of what you're asking me, but what's the real core of what you're asking? Did you want to know any pastime I had with Srila Prabhupada that was memorable from his point of view?
Sure.
No, let's wait for that. Matthew Prabhu wanted to read something from this book, so we can do that at the end.
Okay, sure. Okay. So my apologies to Shreya, but I have a real doozy of a story to tell when you want to hear it.
Yes, in a bit.
Not a problem. You're the MC. You're in charge of everything.
Okay. Matthew Prabhu, where do we want to start, Matthew Prabhu? From this?
Listening to Narayan.
We want to hear Narayan Prabhu.
Yeah. What?
Okay, they want to hear you. So go ahead.
Oh, everybody hears me all too much. I would like to hear somebody. What about Mahaprabhu?
Prabhu, I'd like to say this. We haven't heard the truth. So when you speak, we kind of connect to what things were like in those times when we were not even born. So that's why we like to hear more from you. And whatever we quote is all from all the works that you all have given us.
Well, I have no idea what you heard that is incorrect. So it's hard to correct something if I don't know what it is. But I can only tell it's pastimes with Prabhupada, and some pretty amazing ones. But
yes,
But let's go ahead. We're reading from this here. And is Mahaprabhu going to read it?
Oh, it is going to be Matthew Prabhu that's going to read it. Matthew Prabhu, go ahead. Where you want to start?
The verse. There are waterfalls. Oh,
Which one?
What is the scripture?
This is the light of the Bhagavat.
Ah,
I can't quite see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
Scroll up.
He's talking about the one in the gray box. He wants to see that. Yeah.
This part?
Yeah.
There are waterfalls flowing from the hills of the forest, but sometimes water does not flow from them. So the waterfalls are not like ordinary rainfall. They're compared to great reformers who speak or do not speak as the time requires.
Ah, this is interesting.
yeah, particularly for the League for 10,000 years.
Right. There are waterfalls.
We're in between waterfalls.
Mm.
We're in between Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada. Prabhupada via Lord Chaitanya. We're between Prabhupada and Kalki. So no more rainfall until Kalki.
Can we read the explanation given below?
Yes.
That looks good.
Matthew Prabhu, do you want to read this explanation? Yes. Can you see
There are
it?
two different kinds of religious preachers. One of them is called the professional preacher, and the other is called acharya. The professional preachers are like the rainfall from the sky, but the acharya are like waterfalls. The professional traders in Bhagavatam and Ramayana will speak from the portion of the scripture that will appeal to the mundane senses of the audience. For example, the professional Bhagavatam reciter will generally speak on the subject of Rasa Leela, which appears to the layman to be something like the dealings of ordinary men and women. Thus, the professional reciters earn money from the so-called admirers. But an acharya will never speak on the Rasa Leela to the general mass of people. The Rasa Leela chapters of the Bhagavatam are the most confidential part of the scripture, and they are meant for advanced students of spiritual realization. In the Bhagavatam, there are 12 cantos, and the Rasa Leela is in the 10th. So before one comes to the 10th canto, the Bhagavatam tries to convince him of the transcendental nature of the absolute truth. Unless one has grasped the spiritual status of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sure to accept him as an ordinary man and thereby commit offenses at his lotus feet by so many unwanted activities. The Acharya is he who knows the scriptures well and teaches his disciples in terms of the disciples' capacity to understand and advance in spiritual realization. Therefore, he sometimes speaks and sometimes does not speak. The holy messages of Godhead have to be received from the realized soul and not from the professional man. Although rainwater and the waterfalls are the same, the water from the waterfalls has a different effect than ordinary rainwater. One should not accept messages from the professional men, as one should not accept milk touched by the tongue of a serpent. Milk is good, but as soon as it's touched by the snake, it becomes poisonous. The Acharya, therefore, is not a mercenary order supplier like the professional reciters of scripture.
Amazing.
Mm.
Wow. How many times the word acharya is used here? So many times. 1, 2, 3. Four, 5, 6. Amazing.
Well, that's a special blessing from Srila Prabhupada. Yes, if he said Acharya once, we might miss it.
Just like he coins the term Kanishta and Madhyam can initiate, but then he says what at the end, Therefore.
So we have to take this very seriously. It's not topic, it's not gossip, it's not chit chat. It is the threshold. It's like a door. When we say these things like Kanishta Madhyam Uttamadhikari, they're not topics. They're like doors that have been placed in front of us to be opened or not opened, depending on us.
Yes.
Free will. If we talk about anything, please, Prabhus, the first thing I would like to request, exercise free will consciously. Don't talk about something because it's interesting or because you like it or somebody else might like it. Look at it because you're using your free will to reveal the inner meaning of the shloka that you're exposing to the public. Let people get it.
Right.
By your grace. You be the Acharya.
Right.
Yeah, something I thought about this verse I pointed out is like going around telling people, take this prasadam and it'll wreck your material life. It's like, an advanced devotee will appreciate taking the prasadam, but your typical person will just reject it. Like, what? Doesn't sound like a boon to them.
Well, this is isn't this the nature of life? If you want to tame an animal, you bring some bait that it will eat.
Right, yeah.
So sometimes the animal won't take the bait. And like when my dad used to describe how people used to tame wild animals like foxes. They'd use animal meat. So they would take a chunk of animal meat, they'd toss it to the fox. And the fox was eager, he wants it. He comes up, he smells human touch on it. So he won't eat it. But he really wishes he had, but he just can't bring himself to eat something that smells with the touch of the feared and hated human being energy on it. So the next day, the fox comes again. He's eager to come because he knows the man will toss him another chunk. But so the man tosses it, and the fox runs up to it. He's about ready to eat it. But he sniffs it, maybe he licks it, but no, he runs away. Doesn't want to contaminate himself with human energy. The next day, so you know what happens. Each day he gets more and more, till finally the fox eats it. So finally now the man can toss the chunks to the fox, and the fox will grab them and eat them every day. So what does the fox? How can he tame the fox? At least the fox isn't running away, but he's not tamed. So my dad would say he will take the chunk and put it. These are peasants; they never took baths, and it's hot weather. They would take the chunk and stick it in his armpit, in the sweat, and saturate the chunk of animal flesh with his armpit sweat and throw it out there. By that time, the fox has become addicted to the smell of the man tossing the flesh. And so finally, he can toss anything he puts in his armpit, and the fox will eat it. Piece of bread, a vegetable. So then in the end, the fox comes to the man and says, because of that smell, I am being fed without having to hunt and be hunted myself. I will come to you. Will you please feed me? So the man feeds him. And he doesn't have to use his sweat anymore because the fox has been tamed by the identity of that man presented through remember, foxes have really good smelling compared to humans. He can smell that man, he can smell the food, he can smell everything, and he accepts that from the smell of the man. So that at that time, he's beholden to the man, and he's a tame fox. Then the man, he gradually lets the man pet it and cuddle him and take him into the house.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's similar to what we were talking about prasadam. People may or may not eat it, but if they eat it, they'll become attracted eventually, and then they will come and we'll take them into the house, Krishna's house.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like for a materialistic person, if you're honoring, giving them prasadam, you don't have to like say, "Oh, this came off the altar. We're worshiping God." Like if they're not open to that idea, you can just say, "Oh, it was made like by my wife or something." Like,
it doesn't matter what you say.
there's
The connection, the jivas in the plants have been killed and sacrificed and offered to Krishna in the form of vegetarian offering with ghee, with spices. All of these involve jivas. And when it's offered to Krishna, that you know, and that Krishna knows. When you give it to the other person, as you say very wisely, Matthew, when you give it to the other person, they don't know it's been offered to Krishna. They don't realize that jivas have been sacrificed and have been offered to Krishna, and that they all became liberated souls because of being sacrificed to Krishna. They don't know any of the details, but they say, this is good. It tastes especially good. What's the especially good taste to it? Is it the spice, or is it how you cook it? What's the special thing? And you're laughing because I offered it to Krishna, that's why it tastes extra good. But I'm not going to tell that to you yet. Maybe after you have stopped sniffing and running away, you'll come and become a tame fox, and then I will show you how it became so good.
It makes me think of the Bhagavad Gita verse about seeing activity in inactivity and inactivity in activity.
Action
Okay,
in action in something. Action in inaction. And,
action and inaction and inaction within action.
yeah.
Well, inaction between well, do you want to go over that verse? What
Sure.
What do you want to know? What's
Well,
your
I mean,
point?
just that verse we read, Srila Prabhupada's Katha, where he was saying, take everything that is beneficial to Krishna's service and reject everything that is.
Well, I think unless Ramachandra wants to bring that verse up, do you want to bring it up, or do you want me to offer a comment? Either way.
Yeah, your comment.
Okay. Action within inaction means when a person becomes self-realized, his action is the jiva and the body becomes the inaction. And when that's action within inaction, and inaction within action means the jiva seeing the body doing its thing under the three modes of nature has no attachment to it. He is simply the observer. Now let's see if I'm going to be terribly embarrassed by what Prabhupada wrote. Or enlightened, I should say.
What you're saying is true, though.
Well, it is true, but is that the meaning of this verse?
Oh, no, I'm sharing something else because Sri Prabhu wanted some clarification on something, but I'm not sure if she changed her mind or she wants to share something else. So can you let us know?
No, try. Gets her turn. Why not?
Yes.
Is she there, Shreya, right now?
Is she there? I don't know. She said, where is she? Anyways, let's continue then. When she comes back, then she can share.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, go ahead, Manu Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, who's going to read this?
Which part?
Arti Prabhu. This one, the devotee.
Okay. Okay, devotee, Prabhupada. I heard it said that the spiritual master will always come back until his devotees, his disciples, have achieved God realization. Can you explain that? Prabhupada. Yes, But don't try to take advantage of it, laughter. Don't try to give trouble to your spiritual master like that. Finish your business in this life. That is specially meant for those who are slack. His devotee, his disciple, should be serious in serving spiritual master. If he is intelligent, he should know that, quote, why should I act in such a way that my spiritual master has to take the trouble to reclaim me again? Let my business be finished in this life, unquote. That should be the right way of thinking, not that, oh, I am sure my spiritual master will come, let me do all nonsense, unquote. No, so if you have got any, I mean to say, affection for the spiritual master, then you should finish your business in this life, so that he may not come again to reclaim you. Is that all right? Don't take advantage of this business. Rather be serious to finish your business. That is the fact. Wow, that's a good quote. Prabhupada is warning that the disciples, everyone should be very serious about spiritual life, and our main business, what Prabhupada wanted, is to not only think about ourselves to finish, but to help others. That's a higher mission. Thinking about ourselves, which Prabhupada is talking about here. But why only ourselves? Why not the whole world?
We should finish our business within this lifetime, and
Yes.
this lifetime we should work towards giving it to others also.
Yes.
Exactly.
Is Share Prabhu back? No? All right. Bhanu Prabhu. Matthew Prabhu, you want to say anything? Narayan Prabhu?
Krishna is to enjoy being controlled by love.
Right.
It's talking about finish your business in this life.
Okay, this is all speaking to attract people to come to serve Krishna. If Bhagavatam says, can you repeat that one more time? Krishna?
It's part of a poem that says many things like I heard it on this podcast Wisdom of the Sages, and they gave the reference of who wrote it. It's a previous chariot, but they say by nature the sun is hot, and by nature the many things, but the finale is Krishna is naturally attracted to being attached by love, being controlled by love.
Okay. So if you controlled by love, I go back always, and so does Srila Prabhupada, I might add, to the example of Mother Yasoda.
Yes.
Krishna, on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna with 10,108 wives, Krishna busy killing Kamsa with the tusk of the Kavalya elephant, Krishna killing the cart demon, has no need for Mother Yasoda to give him any milk. He can get milk anywhere. In fact, all the gopis, if she goes there and wants to get milk from 200 different gopis in Vrindavan, they'll be more than happy to give him milk. And in fact, that's one of the things they do. But Mother Yasoda's rasa is that she gives a milk that has been created by her bhakti, by her rasa with Krishna, her uttama adhikari rasa with Krishna. She creates milk, which Krishna then, by being the subject of that delicious milk, finds irresistible. And it's like that milk could be given to other cowherd boys, maybe, if she wants. But the main thing is she wants her milk to be irresistible to Krishna. So he Krishna then is attracted, and he walks away from 10,108 wives. He walks away from the battle of Kurukshetra. He walks away from all of his pastimes simply to become a baby and drink the milk from his mother's breast.
Yeah.
That's what Prabhupada is talking about. That Krishna, you must be irresistible to Krishna. And that is the process of the Madhyamaka age. Now, Prabhupada speaks in very generous terms. Oh, don't make the Guru come back a million times to deliver you while you're doing nonsense. He made that very clear in Vrindavan 3 times. After that, nope, you're in business. You're on your own. No more. You've used up your credits.
What helps me understand we can bring joy to Krishna when he's unchanging is that.
What? You bring a joy to Krishna when he finds what you're doing in your spiritual body, not in your present body, pleasing.
Right. And
the whole idea. The whole idea
comparison you made was that, like, consider you have a full plate of prasadam with all sorts of preparations, and someone brings another chutney. It's not that you weren't satisfied already. There's just something added.
Another wonderful taste.
Yes.
At Hayagriva's wedding in 1969, and I happened to make the wedding pavilion and everything like that for the wedding. You know, overhanging. Oh my goodness, what's going on here?
Shreya's back.
Yes.
Ah, very good.
So maybe she can read the verse and then ask her question.
Please, that'll be wonderful.
This is chapter 9, verse 4 of the 1972 edition of the Bhagavad Gita from PrabhupadaBooks.com. So sure, Prabhu, you can go ahead and...
I'll try to read the Sanskrit verse, but I'm sure I'll be wrong. So, Maya tatam idham shravam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina ma thani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avastitha.
Nice.
By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. My question is, I did not understand this verse. He says, all beings are in me, but I am not in them.
It's Achinta Abheda Abheda Tattva, simultaneously.
Well, because all beings are Krishna. He's not in the jiva. He is the jiva. He and the jiva are Krishna. The difference is size. The jiva is infinitesimal, and Krishna is infinite, huge, all-encompassing. Krishna is so big. You know, I like to joke around with people and said, well, if God is infinite in size, and if we're part and parcel of God, and we're infinitesimal, how many of us can fit inside of God? Like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, Western philosophy said, how many jivas can fit inside of Krishna if Krishna is infinite and we're infinitesimal? What's a good answer?
When?
Huh?
So there's always space for much more. If you could answer one.
Yeah. Well, I like to jokingly say, truthfully and jokingly say, how many infinitesimals can fit inside of the infinite or whole? And I say all of us. All of us, because we're all, right? Because we're all living beings. We're all parts and parcels. Not to be misunderstood, we are all Krishna. Because we are made of nothing in our original form, there's nothing to our infinitesimal existence that is different than Krishna. We are part and parcel of Krishna means not, oh good, he's going to take me by the hand and lead me out of this hellhole called earth. No, part and parcel of Krishna means there's only one difference, and that is we can become separated because we're infinitesimal parts. We can become attached to material life. We can try to lord it over the universe as though we were Krishna himself. Because remember, in Goloka Vrindavan, when I see Krishna, I don't say, ye gods, he's big, and holy moly, I'm tiny. We don't say that, because when I see Krishna in Krishna Loka, it's based on my rasa with Krishna. If I'm 2 inches tall, he will be 2 inches tall to me. If I'm 10 feet tall, he'll be 10 feet tall to me. That's the way he is. Of course, if he's a baby and Mother Yasoda is an adult, he will be a baby to Mother Yasoda. But come on, he's God. He should be huge and with a big gray beard or white beard, standing there punishing pretty much everyone, hopefully not me. Nope, that's not the God. That real God means equal to everyone. That's why Istagosti is Istagosti, equal to everyone. Krishna is equal to everyone. Why? Because all his parts and parcels are Krishna as much as he is. The difference is size. The difference is size. We are non-dimensional, we're so small, and Krishna is infinite, which means beyond dimensional. But in terms of substance, if you take a taste of one drop, you drink one drop of water by itself, and you drink a cup of water from a well, they're both water. You say, wait, but one is, or if you look at the well, that's water? Well, what about that drop? Isn't that water too? Yes, the drop, meaning the jiva, is water. And yes, the well is water. The ocean is water. And the drop is still a drop. The drop doesn't get bigger because it knows the ocean is, it's part of the ocean. The drop says, well, at least now I know what my percentage of existence is compared to the ocean. Pretty darn small. Infinitesimal in this case.
But here the doubt is because it says all beings are in me, which we all understand. But then he then continues to say, but I am not in them. That is the part that's confusing.
Ah, yes. I am not in them, meaning we're not, Krishna is not what animates the material body. He's not in the Krishna, okay, are you considering that I am the jiva and Paramatma is Krishna, but Paramatma is not in the jiva, he's next to the jiva. Does that make sense? Krishna,
I need a little more clarity on that, Prabhu.
You say Krishna is in the heart of the living entity, but the living entity is the body. So yes, Paramatma is in the body of the living entity, in the heart, pump, 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 pumping blood, and the jiva is in the heart of the body, pump, 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 pumping blood. So jiva and Krishna are together in the body. So when Krishna says, I am not in them, he means that Krishna is not in the jiva. Strictly speaking, although there's a distinction when it comes to Paramatma, the jiva is in Krishna. All things are in me, like pearls are strung upon a thread. In other words, imagine all the jivas strung together like beads all over the place, infinite number of beads on an extremely long thread, shall we say. Or we could say infinite thread if we didn't wanted to use the word twice. But anyhow, where comes the jiva, who is infinite number of jivas that are within Krishna. But Krishna is not within even one jiva. That would be strange. That would be like a human being inside of the cell in his shoulder. I am the human. If I could say the human being is an identity that you wear, that you have, like a coat, but the human being's identity does not exist in his shoulder. He's not inside the shoulder. The shoulder is inside the living being, right? So that's about as simple as it gets. Does that clarify, or is there more to it?
I
Sure.
felt I understood somewhere, but then again I'm lost. It's very confusing to understand that he says all beings are in me. So we understand that we are part of him, but I am not in them. So Jiva is him, right? So again, he says I'm not in them.
Well, he can't be both at the same time, can he?
Right. That's why I'm trying to understand that part.
Yeah, that part. Yeah. But to understand it clearly is Shraya Prabhu, please remember, I am not this body. I am spirit soul. He is in our body, but I am not the body that he's not talking about my body. All jivas are in me, but I am not in them. Meaning he is not he's in the body of the jiva, that the body of the jiva has, just like you acquired one at conception, not at birth, but at conception, you acquired a body. And the astrology, if you had an astrologer, he figured out why. And if you have past life astrologer, he can tell you what you did in a previous life to take this one. I mean, there's all sorts of ways of calculating why are you in this body. And so Krishna, you, the soul, the jiva, are in Krishna. But Krishna is not in the soul that you are. So we have to separate ourselves from thinking not in me, meaning my body. He's not in your body because your body is not you. But of course, it's very easy for people to identify with their body, even when they're intelligent and enlightened and all sorts of good stuff like that. They think that they are their body for the simple reason that they wake up in the morning and they look in the mirror and said, oh, I've got another gray hair on my head. How did that happen? Well, no, it's on the body. It has nothing to do with you. You might be getting younger looking as a jiva, and the body may be getting older looking, but that doesn't make the body you. So if we understand it strictly from that point of view, that Krishna is in our material body, but he's not in the jiva. And when he says, I am not in them, he means I am not in the jiva. I'm next to the jiva in the embodied soul. I'm next to the jiva as Paramatma, but I am not in the jiva.
It's an establishment that the soul is the eternal servant of Krishna.
Yeah, and not that Krishna is the eternal servant of the soul. Krishna is not the servant of the soul. Now, all rules are off in a rasa. You may have a rasa where Krishna becomes your servant. That's because that's the way the game is being played. But that doesn't mean that Krishna by nature is your servant. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We can't not be part and parcel of Krishna. And you can see, due to the Zoom call, here we are proof positive what happens when we want to become Krishna. We end up in our present material bodies, which very fortunately are higher educational bodies with the exact purpose of our going back to home, back to God.
Srila Prabhupada establishes this also in Chaitanya Charanamrita about why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is so secret, that there's so many pretenders that they're not avatars, but they claim to be.
Well, yeah, of course. Why not? Here's a chance to make some money. here's a chance to seduce ladies because I am Krishna and they are in the gopis and the Rasadins. He's already warned about that already in this. No, we have to understand the jivas are all female. The male jivas, there are no male jivas. All jivas are Shakti. Like Mirabai, when she went to see Rupa Goswami at his ashram in Vrindavan, he said, tell her to send the servant, and the servant said, this Mirabai wants to have darshan. He said, well, tell her that I'm a sannyasi and I simply cannot, I cannot invite a woman into my bhajan kutir. And so the servant went back out and said apologetically to Mirabai, well, Rupa Goswami says he cannot have you because you're a woman, and he's a sannyasi, so he cannot allow a woman, a sannyasi cannot have a woman in his direct presence. The sannyasi can give a lecture to a crowd and has women, yes, but he can't, the sannyasi cannot sit down in a room with a woman because it's just against his sannyas vow. Everybody knew that, including, of course, Mirabai. So Mirabai said, oh, I must have learned things very erroneously, because I thought here I am in Vrindavan, and I thought that everyone is Vrindavan. There's only one male in Vrindavan, and all the rest are female. The jivas are all female compared to Krishna. But she didn't go that far because she knew that Rupa Goswami would get her point immediately and with great impact. So the servant went in and Rupa Goswami said, did she say anything? And he said, yes. She said, oh, I have been told the wrong thing. I've been given an illusion to believe that I thought that in Vrindavan, there's only one male and all rest are female. But now we find out there are two males, and I'm prohibited from having darshan of Rupa Goswami, who evidently is the second male in Vrindavan.
Right.
And so when Rupa Goswami heard that, he said, let her in immediately. So she came in and had darshan of Rupa Goswami, who happens to be the founder, Acharya, of the Govinda Dev deities in Jaipur.
Jai. Okay.
Which is all very auspicious.
Okay, we're coming about to the end of our Zoom meeting for this week.
That was heavy. It's going to take some time to digest.
Yes, think about it for a week and then we can discuss on Wednesday.
Sure.
Okay, but let me ask Shreya one thing, of course, it's my duty. Shreya Prabhuji, did that give you a complete answer or not?
Yes, you did, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so you realize that when Krishna says, all things are in me, like pearls are strung upon a thread, but I am not in them, that he is saying that he is infinite, and we jivas, not bodies, jivas are within his transcendental form. And the reason why we can be in the material world and it doesn't cause suffering to Krishna is Krishna's suffering comes when he doesn't get what he wants. Why not? It's true for everybody. Everybody doesn't get what they want suffers. So Krishna doesn't get what he wants. If the jiva wants something and he's in the material world wanting to be God, that can't happen. So so he doesn't get what he wants and he's disappointed. So now Krishna manifests as Paramatma in each jiva that's not in Krishna Loka. Not in Vaikuntha, but let's just say Krishna Loka, because that's what we're dealing with, of course, fortunately for us. And therefore, Paramatma is in the business of keeping part and parcel of Krishna from feeling that he isn't getting what he wants. So that the jiva wants to murder somebody, hey, how do I do it? This is how. Okay, so the jiva gets what he wants, how to murder somebody. The jiva says, how can I offer this flower to Krishna? Well, here's a sadhu nearby. Why don't you go and ask him and he will help you? Okay, that sounds like a good idea. So whatever the jiva wants, the jiva gets, or at least he tries to get. That's why people want to be a conqueror of the whole world. They want to conquer, they're having the terrible twos at middle age. They want to conquer the whole world. Why? So Krishna has Paramatma in the heart of every living entity, so that no matter what his desire is, that this living entity will either get his desire or at least think he's going to get his desire and have a chance to get his desire, even if it proves to be impractical or at all. Because if the man's desire is to kill somebody, sure, now go kill him. But I didn't expect to get the death penalty for that. I just got what I wanted. Well, that's the reaction to what you wanted. So the point being that Paramatma gives everything that you want within the power that he has to give you, because you have to have the karma to receive it. If you say, oh, I want $1 million, well, you might roll the lottery and get $1 million, but then again, you might not. And if you don't, it's because you didn't have the karma to win $1 million in the lottery.
I heard
So,
a
but you might,
very
yeah.
relative.
Yeah, and you might make lose $100 or $1,000 in the lottery, but then make $1 million on the stock market. How do you know? You know, this is karma. Past activities translated into this birth with all sorts of birthday presents that pop up unexpectedly, like making $1 million on the lottery, and all sorts of things that pop up, like being falsely accused of murder and hanged. You know, all of these things can happen to a jiva. But the point I'm making is that Krishna, in the heart of every living entity, as Paramatma, wants that Paramatma, wants the jiva. Why does Paramatma? Can anyone want to answer this? Because I've explained it. Now I'd just like to see who got the point. Why does Paramatma want every jiva pleased? To the degree that he goes into the heart of even germs to make them pleased. I want liver tissue.
He wants
liver tissue. Huh?
He wants
Why
to
does,
be pleased.
what? Why does Krishna, in the form of Paramatma, appear in the jiva so that the jiva can try to become pleased?
Because
misusing his free will.
he wants the jiva to please him. He wants to be pleased.
Because he is the jiva.
What? Say again.
Because he is the jiva.
Paramatma is a jiva?
No, I said the little jiva is part and parcel of Krishna. That's why.
Yes. So if jiva didn't think of all the gazillions of cells, like of infinitesimal parts and parcels of Krishna, they're out scrambling around trying to be God in their own small way.
Right.
I emphasized small way. They're all in their own small way trying to become God. Just imagine what would happen if Paramatma were not in the heart of those embodied creatures, whether it's a germ saying, I want liver, I want to eat somebody's liver. And Paramatma says, yeah, over there, take a bite. Oh, yeah, that's liver. It tastes good too. Yum, yum, the bite. That's a germ that you can't even see without a microscope. The Paramatma was telling him where to bite your liver. Try it out. It's doing it right now. If you have good ears, you can hear him saying it to the jiva in your liver. Yeah, take another bite. So the point being is, why does Krishna, what would happen if Krishna did not satisfy each jiva or try to satisfy each jiva according to his desire? What would happen to Krishna if that happened? It doesn't happen, can't happen, but let's say what happened if it did happen, Paramatma suddenly said, I'm on strike. I'm leaving at the heart of every atom. I'm leaving the heart of every jiva. I'm leaving the heart of every demigod. I'm just out of here. What would happen to Krishna if that happened?
The
I mean, he
whole
would be controlling robots or
explain-
stones. He would be surrounded by stones,
What?
isn't it? He would be surrounded by stones or robots.
Well, not exactly. I mean, we're talking about his associates in Krishna Loka. I'm talking about in the material world. Everybody, part and parcel of Krishna, comes to the material world, thinks he's his body, according to the body, wants to fulfill his desire, meaning the desire of the body that he thinks he is. So what happens if Paramatma stops trying to satisfy that jiva? I explained it clearly a moment ago, actually.
yeah, and it's
Would it
also
would it be,
the
Okay. Do you want me to explain it again? Or do you want to guess?
No. I'm saying
Or do you know the answer?
yeah, that the examples set by great men, lesser men follow from Bhagavad Gita, is that it that if Krishna denied that prescribed activity, then he would be responsible for the destruction of the entire.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. That's a very interesting observation. But there's a more key explanation. That's a good. I honor you for that. It's a good one.
I'd like to say,
There's another one that's simpler.
I'd like to
If
break.
Krishna didn't satisfy the desires of his parts and parcels, he would be, in terms of the parts and parcels that are separated from him, he would be feeling dissatisfaction. And Krishna is Atma Rama. He doesn't feel dissatisfaction. He would be dissatisfied, parts and parts. Supposing 0.1% of Krishna's jivas in all of the material universes. And if they were not satisfied by anything, he would feel dissatisfaction, which Krishna doesn't do. He is completely self-satisfied, Atma Rama. So he makes sure that the jiva, as part of him, gets what he wants or thinks he wants, because then he feels satisfaction.
Narayan Prabhu, we have Vashish. Prabhu, he's on. So,
Vashish is on.
yes.
There was
Oh my
something
God.
that Srila Prabhupada said
It came
that
after a
really
long time.
relates to Shreya's verse that she shared, 9:4. And it's you might be familiar with this, that there was a disciple carrying milk downstairs or prasadam down some stairs, and he tripped and fell, and he just immediately said, "It's Krishna's mercy," and Srila Prabhupada said, "No, this is your foolishness."
Well, yes.
Right.
When the devotees in San Francisco in 1967 or so looked at a house to rent, but it was like $400 a month, and they couldn't afford it because the temple we had on Frederick Street was only $75 a month. They didn't want to get involved with that big a payment, and so they stalled around. Prabhupada wanted it, the house. It stalled around on it until it rented to somebody else. And the devotee went to Prabhupada cheerfully and said, "Well, Srila Prabhupada, looks like Krishna didn't want us to have that place." And Prabhupada said sardonically, "Don't blame Krishna for your mistakes." That's the same sort of story. Don't blame Krishna for your mistakes. Because we have to think of it, if the jiva had made a very sincere attempt, and if Prabhupada wanted it, then it was possible to get it. If you follow Krishna and follow Prabhupada.
So, we were coming to an end, but Vashish Prabhu came. So, Vashish Prabhu, what's going on?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hi, Vashish. Welcome. Welcome to our
Hare
midst.
Krishna.
Remember, this is Istagosti, so no matter what you speak from the heart because that will get close to or accurately on you speaking as from the Paramatma through the Jiva, not through the body.
Of course, actually, since a long time I wanted to talk to you, but
now's the time to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you for forgiveness because many times I think my messages are like I'm kind of any people will see that I'm challenging you. It will give the impression of I'm challenging you or something like that or disrespecting you. But seriously and sincerely, that's not my.
That means nothing to me. That means nothing to me. What we have in Istagosti is you and everyone, and even lowly me. We are equal to everyone in Istagosti.
Because
when Prabhupada created Istagosti, the temple president, the sannyasi, the brahmachari, the guy walking in from the street, they sit down. Yeah. Everyone is equal because Istagosti means circle of cowherd boys, and all the cowherd boys are equal to each other. And one extra cowherd boy is equal also. His name is Krishna, and he sits with the cowherd boys. So if Krishna can be equal to one another, what to speak of you and me?
No, but seriously, we should maintain the decorum kind of the Vaishnava etiquette. Like you are very, very senior to me, 77 years old, like you told me earlier, and I'm only 37. 40 years you're senior to me, and you also got the chance to meet Prabhupada, to serve Prabhupada, to engage in his mission. And I think last time I said something like, okay, like the best use of a bad bargain. Like I was quite angry. I hope you will understand me and forgive me, honestly, yeah, because
there's
I didn't
nothing
feel
to forgive. If you speak from the heart, I welcome it. I welcome you as my guru. If you speak from the heart.
No. See, and also
Prabhupada defined guru means heavy. Literally, he said guru means heavy. He said heavier than me in knowledge. So if you tell me, if I ask you where's the train station, and you say it's over there, you're my train station guru, because you've told me something I didn't know. You're heavier knowledge about the location of the train station. So what to speak of spiritual activity and spiritual language? Go ahead. I welcome you here, Vashish. You made all of us extremely satisfied and happy to have you on this call with us.
But honestly, I beg for forgiveness from you or others if you have perceived me to be quite okay, I'm going off track, or I'm being mostly and I'm being disrespectful, because I don't want to be disrespectful. Okay, that's the least thing, that's the least last, or that's the last thing I would like to offend.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's very noble and very kindly spoken and very, very pious. But I would like to mention that there's only, if you are doing anything that you or perhaps others might consider to be disrespectful, the only person you can ever disrespect is you, the jiva, part and parcel of Krishna. How can, and the jiva will glorify others. A jiva sees another jiva as his Prabhu, or part and parcel of God. What to speak of disrespect or whatever. So if I disrespect you, Prabhu, I ask your forgiveness, because you are a jiva, and therefore, if I disrespect you, I am committing an offense against part and parcel of Krishna.
You know, I'll tell you something, Prabhu, because initially it was Chidanand Prabhu who told me to join the group. Okay, you remember that, Ramchandra, when I got in touch with Ramchandra Prabhu, and when
who did?
Started the group.
Chidananda Prabhu.
Chidananda.
Yeah.
Chidanand Prabhu, he introduced me to Ramchandra Prabhu, and when we came in contact, when I joined the group, I think when I joined, there were not many people who were in the group chat. Many of you who are now chatting, they came later actually. And initially we spoke, and when there was some disagreement, You maybe Ramchandra Prabhu, you yourself, you will remember. But most of the things like we know what Prabhupada is a sole Diksha Guru, what we agree on this. And when you even said many things which were very nice, like like, okay, if there are some parts where we disagree, but there are some parts where we agree. So let's talk about the parts we agree, and then little by little we'll come to a point where we disagree. So that's what we did. That's how
remember,
we
remember, in Istagosi, it's not about agreeing and disagreeing. It comes about, because that's opinion. Agreeing and disagreeing is just both are misconceptions. If you want to agree, that's because I have an idea and you agree with my idea. If I disagree, I have an idea and you disagree with my idea. But in Istagosi, you speak from the platform of spirit soul, from the Jiva platform, and there's no question of agreeing or disagreeing, because what you're doing is expressing what you feel to be true. So it doesn't require agreeing or disagreement. We're not trying to make a collection of views that will become a political party. We simply are talking in Istagosti, each jiva speaks for himself. And that's the way it really is, because Prabhupada said, we're all flying our own airplane. I can't fly your airplane, you cannot fly mine. You're flying yours, I'm flying mine. We can communicate through the walkie-talkie about things. I say, it looks like you're heading straight towards a mountain. Shut up and leave me alone, crash. That you can do with people, right? But
let us propagate.
What I'm saying here is, jivas that are devotees in Istagosi, they don't tell each other to crash or not crash the airplane. They are discussing the central core issues which take you to the ultimate safety of Krishna's lotus feet. And that's all. We don't have to have an opinion to agree to or disagree with. Let's drop the idea. Let's drop agreeing and disagreeing. So continue. You were speaking eloquently.
Yes, I can't agree more what you just said, Prabhu, actually, about agreement, disagreement. But see, but that's the thing, actually. You will be saying something, Ramchan Prabhu will say something, Bhanu Krishna Prabhu will say something, Matthew Prabhu will say something, I'll be saying something, Shreya Mataji will say something, or Mark Prabhu will say something, others will say, Amiyo will say something. But all what we'll be saying, okay, like you're saying, we should be talking on the spiritual platform, from the level of soul, or like this. But all what we'll be saying, okay, all my statement should be in line with what Prabhupada has taught in the books. That goes unsaid, actually. It goes without saying, actually, isn't it?
It goes without saying, because by the time you're in Istagosti, supposing you're the temple president, supposing you drive the Sankirtan truck and take devotees out to chant, assuming that such a thing still occurs. And supposing that you're in the kitchen cooking, supposing you came in off the street trying to find something and saw a group of people sitting down and sat down with them, not realizing that it was an Istagosti, that what is happening in that Istagosti is people are speaking their mind, and we have to assume that if they're speaking their mind, it is coming from Prabhupada. If they're not coming from Prabhupada, then speaking their mind is just nonsense. And if they're in the Istagosti and they speak nonsense, you say, oh, and where did Prabhupada say that? Or how is that quoted? How do you quote that from Prabhupada? Then you challenge, say, back up what you're saying. But essentially, we have to assume that everyone in an Istagosti has some acquaintance with Srila Prabhupada's philosophy, writing, kirtan, lecturing, all of the things that he, walking and talking, whatever he did, we have some familiarity. There's plenty, it's really easy enough. You turn on the internet, you can see Prabhupada 24/7, more than 1,000 people could watch at one time. So that's easy to do. To associate with Prabhupada is easy. So because you can find him everywhere. Being open to what he says, feels, and does, that's more difficult because we have to deal with our opinion. And our opinion may not be the same as Prabhupada. But our goal here is in Istagosti is whatever you say, just say it. And if it isn't an agreement with Prabhupada,
there are some things I would like to.
Someone will tell you that. No, go ahead. I'm not trying to interrupt you incessantly, but I just want to say, in this context of Istagosti, don't be afraid to speak. And if it's something different than you heard Prabhupada say, I heard Prabhupada say this. Rather than disagreeing, Say, this
Yes.
is what I
Maybe
understand.
I would like to say
That
something.
is
Maybe
Iksagosi.
yes. And what sometimes I was not able to join the Zoom conversation or on YouTube. Okay. On YouTube, I've been hearing offline. I mean, not offline at a later stage. I heard not all, but a few lectures, not lectures, but few other conversations I've been hearing. I've been listening to. So I know kind of what you've been talking about. So a few
Yes.
things.
So here you
Yes.
are now, and you know what I've talked about, you know what Ramachandra talked about, what Shreya talked about, what Matthew talked about. Now we will hear what you talk about. So go ahead.
So that's what I was.
You're free. You're free to speak your mind.
Yes. You know,
But
sometimes
not,
I've been.
but not
sometimes
argument. Not argument. Simply from the jiva point of view.
Yeah, but
No
sometimes.
argument. What are you gonna do? Argue with yourself?
Yeah. Sometimes I've been like what you're saying, argument. Like you're saying, argument. Sometimes I've been trying to say something through the WhatsApp platform, right? Maybe the way I've been saying it is quite
Yeah.
good. Maybe
Yes.
maybe my approach. Yeah.
Vashish Prabhu, if you have anything to say, please come on Zoom and then have a
Yeah.
conversation.
Say it on. What we intend that WhatsApp to do, and we're sharing this with you tonight, which is very auspicious, because this is where we were drawing a line in the sand, actually, to say, come into the Zoom conversation. But we can't, it's only Zoom conversation is only a couple of hours usually. So if you are in the Zoom conversation and you want to continue talking with Banu, with me, with Ramachandra, with anybody else in this Zoom, then you can continue on the WhatsApp, but don't start something on WhatsApp. Start it in Zoom, take it to WhatsApp. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's what we have been doing actually. That's almost all the conversations which I did. Okay, it was a continuation. Like you'll see last time I've been talking about the spiritual masters, different kind of spiritual masters, right? About instructing spiritual masters, Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, and all. And we had
Yes.
some different.
We never discussed that in the Zoom meeting, did we?
No, we discussed actually, but maybe you don't remember, but I tried to say something, but I think your opinion was very much different, and
No, I don't have an opinion. I have no opinion. I only have I have ears for hearing, Shravanam. I don't have an opinion. The only one thing I will say is what I hear from my spiritual master, I will repeat it. I don't have an opinion. We have to give up opinion, because opinion means false ego. If I have an opinion, it comes only from the ego, not from Shastra.
About Siksha Guru.
So, for instance, about Diksha Shiksha Guru, Prabhupada writes, and you can go to the Veda base and find it. He said the Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru must be on the same platform. If not, this is pretty much exactly the way he said it too. If not, one or both of them is a rascal.
Yeah.
So I mean, can't substitute. ISKCON is substituted sometimes that they are the Shiksha Guru and Prabhupada is the Guru, and sometimes they say they are the Guru and Prabhupada is the Shiksha Guru.
No,
they're fluffing themselves up.
Mainstream ISKCON, we know about we it's better we don't talk. Okay, sometimes to learn as a lesson, we can learn from their mistakes. But it's not, for me personally, I won't like to talk about mainstream ISKCON and yes, whatever you're saying, but they are themselves confused in sometimes they take Prabhupada as Siksha Guru, foundational Siksha Guru and all that stuff, but they say.
Yeah, so we have to know that's Diksha, Shiksha Guru, we have to see what the Prabhupada actually say. Basically, most of what everybody talks about Diksha Shiksha is on the horizontal Aniyabhalasha planes, not on the transcendental platform.
Mm-hmm.
The Shiksha Guru must be a pure devotee transcendentalist.
Yeah,
otherwise
devotee of the first class.
He's not
pasted
qualified.
that on the WhatsApp group.
But people take Shiksha Guru to be the Boy Scout leader or something like that. That's not the Shiksha Guru.
I mean,
no, actually, it's true. When Prabhupada many times say that you become a bona fide spiritual master, okay, we become a bona fide spiritual master. Actually, when Prabhupada many times he said that in his
Of course.
in his lecture. But
And
when
why
he was
not?
saying,
I also say that.
but when he says
Ashish, you become a bona fide spiritual master. I'm saying that to you. But when will you actually do it? That's the trick, you see.
Yes, that means what actually? When Prabhupada is asking, is requesting his disciples to become bona fide spiritual masters. What actually? Oh, my battery is empty. Maybe my battery is empty. Oh, my battery is empty.
Well, you know, if you go back to Lord Chaitanya, you can see that two things are at work there. Two things are at play. Two things are at play. One is, on my order become guru, doesn't mean on my order go to the furniture store and order a red chair for me to sit in. That's not what Lord Chaitanya is ordering. He says on my order become guru means if somebody is there in this material world, plant, animal, insect, vegetable, or even human beings, or even demigod, who has not heard the holy name of Krishna, then give them the holy name of Krishna.
God.
Then you are guru, because you have something. Prabhupada said guru means heavier than me in knowledge. If you say chant Hare Krishna to that insect, he never heard it before, maybe. You are guru. So we can't conflate that word guru with Diksha Guru, Uttama Adhikari, Sampradaya Acharya. That is a different category. The Sampradaya Acharyas are all very highly placed beings in the spiritual sky. Rupaman, they are all mostly manjaris.
Vashish, your voice is not clear. Your voice is not far away. You're far away from the microphone, it seems.
I am?
Not you, Vashish Prabhu. Vashish Prabhu.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Much better.
It's better.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, what I was saying, that just what Prabhu has said, what Narayana Prabhu has just said, yes, even I agree on that. There are two kinds. When actually the word guru in Prabhupada's teachings means just like we have. I've already said that in the very first of our meetings. I said this. Just like sometimes in our scriptures we have this. Prabhupada uses the word Atma. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita he said that Atma sometimes mean mind, it may mean body, or it may mean super soul or something like that. Like Brahman means body, may means mind. It means soul.
Prabhupada generally means Shiva.
Yeah,
Atma.
Which one? Yeah. Generally it means
Shiva.
You know, in Bhagavad Gita, if you read one word in Sanskrit, may have many meanings. You agree on that?
Well, yes, but we have to go with the ones that Prabhupada
of course
gave us.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
We have a great advantage because he left behind hundreds and hundreds of lectures. And if you want to know what Prabhupada was thinking, listen to one of them, or listen to two of them, or listen to 1,000 of them. You'll understand what Prabhupada is thinking.
Yes.
So we don't have to have there's no need for any controversy in that regard. You see?
Yes, there shouldn't be room for any controversy or any space for any controversy or thing like that, or conspiracy or anything like that. But see, Babu, we are using Prabhupada's books. We are using the Veda base. Even the mainstream devotees also, they are using Prabhupada's books.
Of
and
course.
they are using Prabhupada's teachings.
Yeah.
And where they have landed that Prabhupada. We have taken Prabhupada's position as Diksha Guru, which you vehemently, you don't agree. Even I don't agree, or many others, we don't agree.
Yes.
Isn't
well,
it?
because they don't agree with Prabhupada. I don't have any argument with anybody, but my only argument with anyone is in Istagosti, we all have to be speaking, not agreeing or disagreeing. You can express whatever you want. Instead of saying, well, I agree with that, don't say, please, for my sake, don't say I agree with what you're saying. Say, yes, that's true. That's your view. Your opinion is, yes, that's true, or no, it's not true. but don't say I agree or I disagree, because that relativizes it. We're not in a political situation. We're in a transcendental situation.
Prabhu, but I may be wrong because I'm in a learning phase, Prabhu. I'm in a learning phase. Whatever I've learned, whatever I've studied,
of course.
Whatever I've learned, I've studied.
About Siksha Guru, Prabhupada is referring that the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan had his Siksha Gurus. So Siksha Guru means he's the devotee of the first order. Not anyone can become a Siksha Guru.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly right. Because Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari, the top, one of the top gopis in existence in the spirit in Krishna Loka. So why we cannot accept Rupa Goswami to be guru when he is only playing the part of a male Muslim coming to earth in Bengal?
Bhanu
Yeah,
Prabhu.
Yeah.
I don't know if I commented on your post, actually, on the post that you just on WhatsApp you sent this, okay, about the long post with Sanskrit and English translation, and you said that it is from Prabhupada's Bhakti Godhead magazine in 1960.
Yeah.
Actually, this is an extract from the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. You know what?
Okay.
Actually, it is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. It is his verse, actually. Prabhupada was explaining, was what to say. He was writing in his Bhakti Godhead magazine what Krishnadas Maharaj said. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj said. Actually, it's the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Prabhupada has published in his Bhakti Godhead magazine. So that was a prayer, that was an invocation prayer by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj. Of course, we all
Vashish, one quick second. He published from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in 1969?
What?
You're saying he published Chaitanya Charitamrita in 1969? He quoted?
No. Bhanu Prabhu sent one article. He posted one article in WhatsApp. In what?
Back to Godhead magazine.
What year was the article?
1960. Isn't it, Bhanu Prabhu?
Okay,
yes,
that is like about 12 years before Prabhupada started translating the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, actually he was in India. You know, when he was in India, he was publishing Back to Godhead magazines.
Yes.
So
yes.
he just one extract he did. He and when he published it,
certainly,
and he was distributing it. So what actually Prabhupada did, it wasn't his own prayer. It wasn't his prayer like a Vyas Puja of knowing what he was doing, and he was telling about him. He was telling about Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj.
Sure.
Understood that?
You're saying what you're saying is that later showed up in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the distinction that I missed. Is that because I thought that you were saying that he quoted the Chaitanya Charitamrita in 1960 before he published it, by 12 years before he published it, and I couldn't see how that was possible. But anyhow, you clarified it.
Well, let me
see. This is a Sagosti. You clarified the point. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, but you've expressed the truth. We can accept the truth from you.
Vashish Prabhu, can I ask you a question? I think it is clear to me, at least, that from my understanding, what I've grasped from you.
It's from Bhagavatam 11.17.12, 22.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me get it on the screen.
Yes, get it on the screen.
It's
this
going to
is
be
the
long.
verse we're about to see.
Bhanu Prabhu is going to pull it up.
Excellent.
Ramchandra Prabhu.
Yes.
I've even posted a picture of the cover of a book, Spiritual Master and Disciple, the brown cover. Do you have it?
Oh, that book. Yes.
You have it?
No, I don't have the book. No.
you should get that book because it contains many quotes about the Guru Tattva actually.
Okay.
It's a very important book. You know, there's another book, Nectar of Holy Name. You know what? Srinamamrita. You've heard of that?
What? What book?
Srinamamrita, Nectar of Holy Name.
No, I've not read that book. I don't think
Which one?
it's a Prabhupada book or quotes from Prabhupada or what is it?
Yeah, it's a compilation of quotes from Prabhupada's books only regarding the chanting of holy name, Sankirtan, glories of holy name.
Yeah. Another.
What is the book called?
Srinamamrita.
Namamrita. Now we're not talking about spiritual master and the disciple anymore, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about something else.
What is that?
So, Matthew Prabhu, if we could read this, I request all my Vaishnava readers.
I request all my Vaishnav readers to read and hear with rapt attention the narration of Krishna Chaitanya as they are inculcated in the revealed scriptures. Lord Krishna enjoys himself by manifesting himself as twofold spiritual masters: devotee, incarnation, plenary portions, and diverse energies. They are all six in one. I do therefore worship the lotus feet of all these six diversities of the one truth by invoking their benediction in general. The initiator, spiritual master, and all the instructor spiritual masters are first of all offered respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. The instructor spiritual masters are Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. All these six spiritual masters are my instructors, and therefore I do offer unto their feet my millions of respectful obeisances. There are innumerable devotees of the Lord, but out of them, Srinivasa Thakur is the foremost one. I therefore do offer my obeisances unto his lotus feet. Advaita Acharya is the Lord's partial incarnation, and therefore I do offer my obeisances.
Yeah, he's Vishnu.
Crores at his lotus feet. Sri Nityanandaraj is the plenary manifestation of the Lord, and I am also initiated by him. I do therefore offer my obeisances unto him. Srila Gadadhar Pandit and many others are the eternal potencies of the Lord, and to all of them I do offer my respectful obeisances. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the personality of God himself, and therefore I have my innumerable prostrations at his lotus feet. After offering my obeisances unto the Lord along with his all associates, I shall try to explain now the six diversities of one only as they are. Although I know that my spiritual master is the servitor of Sri Chaitanya, yet I know him also as the plenary manifestation of the Lord. The spiritual master is non-different from Krishna, is the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, because it is Krishna only who delivers his devotees in the form of spiritual master. The Lord said, "You should know the Acharya as myself, and then he must never be disrespected in any way. He may not be envied in any way of an ordinary common man, because he is the representative of all gods. One should know the instructor spiritual master as the personality of Krishna. Krishna, manifests himself as the super soul as well as the devotee of the first order. Back to Godhead Magazine, Volume 3, Part 21, June 5th, 1960.
First order.
Now, if I could make one small remark at this point, we have to understand that whoever is addressing these worshipable personalities is also simultaneously interacting with them in their original Swarup in Krishna Loka as well as in Navadvip. This is both going on at once, and this is manifested a great deal during the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Jiva Goswami would leave notices in the rafters, and then Rupa Goswami would come in and read them. It would be part of their rasa in Krishna Loka, had absolutely nothing to do with their rasas in Navadvip.
Another example,
so
I'd
this
like
looks
to...
more complex.
Yes.
For us, it's just sufficient to know that it's true and to act upon it, assuming it's truth and recognizing its truth, than to try to puzzle it out, because if we puzzle it out, it will take forever and we won't get much preaching done in the process.
Yeah.
So the last line now, one should know the instructor, spiritual master as the personality of Krishna. He, Krishna, manifests himself as the super soul as well as the devotee of the first order.
As well as the devotee of what?
First order.
First order. Okay.
So, Krishna, the instructing spiritual master is treated on the level of Krishna. That's what it says, the quote.
Bhanu Babu. Bhanu?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
See, yes, actually, yeah. What is an extract from Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he's yet to translate it, and he's yet to put his purport. And if you read the actual Chaitanya Charitamrita, okay, there are many things actually. There are many things. The first chapter, maybe Narayan Prabhu may better explain or describe it. That the first chapter of CC Adi is about spiritual masters. Okay, and if you have time, you please read this chapter, the first chapter. And in that, the categories of spiritual masters are described. Like there are two kinds of pure devotees. One is a Nitya Siddha, and one is a Sadhana Siddha. Okay, there are two types of pure devotees. Prabhupada is putting in his purport.
Yes.
And regarding this Acharya Mam Vijaniyam, the 11th from 11th canto, that's true actually. We have the Chaitya Guru, Krishna, okay, and Krishna guides you to a spiritual master, and the spiritual master will guide you to Krishna. Like in one sense, all of us here, okay, it is Lord Krishna, the super soul, our super soul. He has guided us to Prabhupada's teachings, and we all here unreservedly, okay, we all of us here, we agree Prabhupada as our savior, our Diksha Guru. Exactly. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
Very good.
That's good. Yes. I agree.
Now, yes. Prabhupada, through his teachings, mainly through his books, he will guide us. Okay, that's our spiritualization process, that's our purification process. Okay. How we can serve, or how we can purify ourselves so that we can get rid of this material world, and we finally surrender to the Lord and become eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now nobody is now. If someone wants to stay in this world and assist the spiritual master Prabhupada or Lord Gauranga in his Sankirtan mission, that is also allowed. Okay, that depends upon Prabhupada and Lord Gauranga. If he wants a jiva to stay here, or whatever, or he wants him to stay here to do service, or whatever. Okay.
Or what you want. Your desire. because we have to understand most of everything that Prabhupada wrote is for the neophyte to get them to want to go back to Godhead. But once you get in the pathway to go back to Godhead, then at some point you realize you have a choice to go back to Godhead or to stay here and deliver the fallen souls and teach even the ants how to dance in ecstasy, chanting Hare Krishna, how to make the plants ecstatic. All of that can happen when you have gone past your desire for personal salvation or mukti. We're not into mukti, we're into bhakti, love of God. So mukti is for greedy people and bhakti is for the natural soul.
Yes. I think that's why Prabhupada said that, oh Lord, make me dance. I have no in his Jaladut diary he said, personally I have no hope. Or I think in his Vyas Puja offering he said that personally I have no hope for the coming crore of births coming. Okay. Something like that he said in his Vyas Puja offering. He was very humble, saying that okay, maybe next thousands of crores time I have to take births and engage in your service, like what he was saying.
Yes,
because
that's the actual mood of the Vaishnava.
Yeah,
the Vaishnava is not trying for liberation. That's for the Mayavadi. Mukti.
Yes.
I want mukti. I want liberation. I want freedom. Just as Kriyananda, a bogus yogi, Kriya yogi in San Francisco before I became a devotee, was saying, I am a droplet, make me the sea. I am a droplet, make me the sea. He was trying to convince people to merge with God. So it didn't appeal to me. And then later on, when we had I became a disciple of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was present, and all of us were present. And all of those same bogi yogis were there, and they were having ecstatic experience chanting with us. Not that we were becoming a droplet, make me the sea, They joined us, they didn't join us, but they were swept away. They have Shakti of various types, So their Shakti became triggered to chant Hare Krishna with us and take prasadam. And they were in ecstasy as they did it. More ecstasy than I ever saw any of them before they were contacted with Prabhupada. So this is the process, is giving bhakti, not taking anything. And when you give pure unalloyed love of God as a gift to the suffering humanity or any other creature, the goodness will come to you automatically. You don't have to work for it. Automatically, it'll come.
That verse Acharya Mam Vijanayan, this directly refers to a Diksha Guru. Okay, this directly refers to a Diksha Guru. That is in our case Prabhupada. Okay, no.
Yes.
This I think none of us will deny it. Okay, but
well, not in this Istagosti. You will not find anyone denying it. And if they deny it, they wouldn't be in this Istagosti.
Yes. But yeah, and I don't know. I've been sharing some quotes in the WhatsApp group, Prabhu. Like there's one actually
it's
like
best
I told
to share
you,
them. Share them here first. We'll enjoy them on the WhatsApp afterwards.
I think these quotes. See, maybe the way.
Well, come up with one. Let's hear what you want to. What do you want to say? What's true to you? What's the truth from your perspective?
Bhanu Prabhu or Ramchandra Prabhu may go in our WhatsApp platform, and when there's one letter to Sri Galim. Prabhupada's letter to Sri Galim. Maybe you can share what?
Bhanu Prabhu, can you find it? Galim?
Yeah.
Yes.
Letter to Sri Galim.
When after I pasted this one,
okay.
After this, right?
Where did Sri Galim get into the picture? His name is familiar.
Vashish Prabhu is going to explain why he wants, or the context he wants to speak, and he's referencing that letter.
Who is Sri Galim?
Galim is, I think, Prabhupada's disciple, Srila Prabhupada's disciple.
But what in relation to whom? Now.
Oh.
No, it's about the description of in our context, like Prabhupada has given us an institution. Okay, there's no acharya who has said that his books will be the law books for mankind for next 10,000 years. Okay, and he has established an institution, and
right.
how the devotees, how the disciples, they should cooperate, they should and try to push on this movement, right?
Yeah.
So always
we have taken the view that ISKCON, as it is, with all of its flaws, parts, and disobediences and ridiculous errors, is Srila Prabhupada's body, and that it is it's sort of like a farm for Kanistha Adhikaris. The proof of Kanistha Adhikari is following the regulated principles. The Madhyam Adhikari has already gone past the realm of temptation. He wants perfection. He doesn't need regulated principles because he isn't going to break them. But what ISKCON is the Kanistha Adhikari, and Prabhupada succeeded in creating a haven so that bums from the street that would otherwise, Prabhupada said, hippies will become cockroaches in their next lifetime. These next life predicted cockroaches became sannyasis, brahmacharis, householders, brahmacharinis, brahmins, sannyasis. These would otherwise have been cockroaches. Now they may be very puffed up, but that's their mistake. But it's not my mistake, it's their mistake. So let them have their mistake. And if they come to their senses, they'll come to their senses. So the point being that yes. So you found a quote?
Is this the letter?
Yes.
Okay. Who is Sri Galim associated with?
No, actually, there are many letters, actually, Babu. There are many letters which Prabhupada wrote to many of his disciples, right? And that particular where Prabhupada will try to educate, to enlighten, to instruct his disciple, his aspiring disciple, like what is the meaning of spiritual master, like what is diksha, what is instructing, what is initiating, what is instructing the spiritual master, and what is means a little bit of the what to say, spiritual master. Because many times you'll be reading Prabhupada's books, he will say, okay, the spiritual master one has, because I tell you something, Prabhu. I tell you something, okay? And maybe you agree with me. Like today.
No, we're not agreeing. You say your truth, I will respond with what you speak from your realization, I will respond from mine. We're not scholars. We're not trying to hash out stuff like lawyers in a court of law. You have your right to speak as jiva, informed. This is Istagosti, remember, not a law court. You have the right to speak your realization, and I and everyone on this forum has a right to speak from their realization. And because we assume we're being informed by Prabhupada, we're not hashing out points. So go ahead.
Yes. For example, like I was saying earlier, many people actually, they are using that verse, that vidi pranipatena paripashtena sevaya upadeshanti te jnanam jnana tadvadarshina, the verse 4.34 in Bhagavad Gita. They use this verse, okay, they use this verse as a pretext, as an excuse or whatever. They say you have to approach a spiritual master. You have to inquire from him. You have to serve him. Okay? And that's why they say they need a living spiritual master. And that's why they are against you, me, and all of us here. When they say you have to approach, you have to inquire, you have to serve him. And they say
they're ignorant and greedy combined.
Yeah. Now we can say that, but when you imagine,
we are saying that.
Excuse me?
We are saying that.
Yeah, we are saying that. Yes, but
yes.
now, but thing is, thing is, it's a vox populi. It's a vox populi kind of. Just see how many people who are still misguided, misdirected, and following these unscrupulous so-called leaders. Okay, and they are I don't know what power they have got that they are still misleading these innocent followers and these
because they're making there's money in their pocket when they do that. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, does it? But
no.
Ramachandra, remember they wrote that, you read that quote? Could you just read the verse of it about complicated, simple for the easy, and complicated for the complicated, whatever.
Yes. Let me read that. 1 second. Let me find that first.
Because this goes right with Vashish. But Vashish, we don't want to make enemies. We want to enlighten the people under the control of these people who are greedy. We want to enlighten them, and they will then go past. Not only they will go past the initiators that they dare to call gurus. Not only they will go past them, but the initiators in the end will come hobbling after them like cripples, saying, "Me too, me too." They'll want to be saved by the truth. You know, we have to take into account that whatever they're doing, it's out of ignorance. If it's out of wickedness is another form of ignorance. So how can we blame them for being stupid? They took birth in the material world. How much stupider does it get than that?
Yeah, what you're saying, even you won't agree with me when I will say.
No, say agree. Say your view. I say my view.
Okay, just as you're expressing your view, and even I'm sharing my view. But
yes, that's different. That's more powerful.
Just like the most of the people, they are in ignorance, and our dear friends in the mainstream, they are in ignorance. We can't blame them. We can't blame them.
Most or everybody.
We can't blame them. And actually, if someone is to be blamed, it is the one who is having knowledge. Actually, it's us who is to be blamed. Because we are not doing, because somewhere I read Prabhupada says, don't complain, they are not understanding. Don't complain, they are not understanding. You have to make them understand. So
yes, that's what I was going to say. If they do not understand, if they are doing bad things, if they are committing sins in the name of Shastra, if they are misleading people, whose fault is that? I can say it's their fault, but it's not. It's my fault because I have not set the record straight. Therefore, this is to go state on the League for 10,000 Years. That is to set the record straight. I don't care what they've done, and I'm ashamed what I have failed to do, and also what I have done that's wrong. It's time now to speak our mind truthfully, and the suffering masses underneath these initiators will say, hey, we want what you're offering. We want to become advanced Kanistha Adhikaris, then we want to become Madhyama Adhikaris, and we would love to become, after that, Uttama Adhikaris in our rasa with Krishna. Never mind the platitudes. What I want is to be Krishna's friend.
Okay, maybe it's very late. Maybe today it's very late, but there are some quotes maybe I will share in our WhatsApp group.
Ramachandra just came up with something. Did you?
I'll click something.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea that you share it and then we come on Zoom and then we have a discussion. That'll be great. Yes, I think that's.
Ramachandra, did you want to read that quote that we had earlier about simple for the?
Oh, yes, that is there. 1 second.
Yeah.
Rashish Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
You know what? That's exactly what Vashish was talking about.
Just like the quote, what's up?
It's very simple thing, but it is simple for the simple, but it is very hard for the crooked. You're right here. This is from a lecture in 1969, December 26th in Boston.
And what's it? Yes. So those who are going to be initiated, they should always remember these restrictive 4 rules and chant Hare Krishna at least 16 rounds and eat Bhagavad Prasadam, Krishna Prasadam, and be happy down. That's all. What's that? Is there any difficulty?
Sure. So we can't be too judgmental. ISKCON has gone off the rails, but it can go back onto the rails. And it is on the rails in that anyone who comes into ISKCON with the ridiculous Vatican-style cardinals called GBC appointing gurus, which is not possible anywhere in Shastra to do. Nonetheless, if you walk into an ISKCON temple, Prabhupada says the temple, it's Vaikuntha, even with all those bad things. If I go in, they'll try to beat me up or kill me. But if I walk in without them killing me, I can see, look at that, there's a deity, so beautiful, nicely dressed, beautiful garlands. Prasadam is being offered. They're studying from Prabhupada's books. Oh, they changed the books, but most of it's there. And then there's, I can go in there, there's chanting Hare Krishna. They're not chanting Prabhupada's melodies, but they're chanting some garbage and uttering the Hare Krishna mantra. And so it's Vaikuntha. Now what we need to do is boil the milk, straighten it out, sort it out, so that the rank and file men can say, we have not been given the whole story. We want the complete truth. And that complete truth, the League of 10,000 Years seems to have put themselves like Jesus on the cross or something for that us, for our salvation, meaning that we can understand what the so-called initiators, namely they call gurus, but the Kanista Adhikaris who are initiating, so that they will actually be swept to the side while we take over the movement for Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is delivering us, not these guys. And we'll get rid of the GBC must be elected. That can be done. It'll take some doing, but it must be done. And the gurus, we don't need gurus. We have Prabhupada. And as far as Diksha is concerned, anybody who performs a wedding, a fire sacrifice for a wedding, Annaprasad ceremony for for a Shraddha ceremony when somebody dies, all of these Annaprasad when a child picks the coins of the books, all of these ceremonies are done with the same mantras, the same fire sacrifice. They can also do for initiation. And the temple president, as they used to do, can recommend who should become initiated. He said, we want this initiated, and then he can then say to the person, yes, I think you're following everything, you're chanting, you're distributing books, you're going chanting in the streets with Prabhupada's melodies. Yes, definitely you can become initiated next week. And then the pujari will be the ritvik that does it, or the person that does the weddings will do the initiation ceremony. All the ritvik means is acting in behalf of the acharya. That's what the ritvik means. And it so happens, I looked the word ritvik up in the database, not the database, in Google, and it's amazing. Ritvik is a name that is commonly given to boys in India based upon their having a Brahmin father of a certain type of Brahmin. So Ritvik means the son of a certain sort of Brahmin. And the Muslims have taken up calling their children Ritvik because they consider it auspicious that the child is now a blessed person who is acting in behalf of God. So then we take the word Ritvik and we go crazy with it. Anti-Ritvik shouldn't be Ritvik. Are you a Ritvik? It's just Ritvik this, Ritvik that. It's oh yes, I'm a Ritvik. Oh, you're a Ritvik, are you? Are you really a Ritvik? Oh, I'm a Ritvik. I'm 100% Ritvik. How many disciples have you? How many people have you initiated? Huh? Oh no, I haven't initiated anybody. Ritvik means you initiate. No, shut up. You're not a Ritvik. If you are, say Ritvik, give me the body count. How many people did you initiate? If everybody claiming to be Ritvik, a few hundred people, all were really Ritviks, we'd have 10,000 Ritvik disciples in the movement right now. Enough to counteract their entire movement, to counterbalance it. But no, the Ritviks are not doing anything. They're just calling themselves Ritviks without initiating anybody. So that's ridiculous. So the Ritvik must come to mean what it means, and that is initiating in behalf of Prabhupada. Is that okay?
That's the real meaning of the word. on behalf
Yeah.
of spiritual master.
Yes.
Do you like that? And you may or may not be aware of it. I've published it. I think I published it for you to read, but I checked it out. Some stuff on Ritvik in the ISKCON Ritvik stuff. It turns out Prabhupada wanted it to be called
Officiating.
representative initiators.
Officiating acharyas.
Yeah,
And
officiating.
Narayan Maharaj is the one that calls himself Prabhupada's Ritvik because he said he initiated Prabhupada to become sannyas. He writes it right there in his book, stupid, idiotic, moronic, dyslexic book. He says, yeah, I initiated Prabhupada in sannyas, and I took sannyas 7 years before Prabhupada. So since sannyas is the real initiation, I am Prabhupada's senior. Can you imagine that rascal? I am Prabhupada's senior. He wrote it in black and white. I am Prabhupada's senior because I took sannyas, and I'm his initiator. I'm the Ritvik that performed his initiation for Keshava Maharaj. So he used Ritvik, and I'm sure Tamal and he plotting together to poison Prabhupada to save the movement from being destroyed by Prabhupada being senile, was Tamal's argument. I'm sure that he introduced Tamal to the word Ritvik, because Prabhupada never used it once.
Okay.
Prabhupada used it actually.
I think.
Prabhupada used that word.
Huh?
But anyhow,
Prabhupada used
Ashish, I like you're transforming before my eyes into a person who is speaking from the spiritual platform only and not relativizing it by saying, I agree, I disagree, I believe, I don't believe. Nothing like that. You're saying what you say, and I accept what you say. If I don't agree with what you say, I will tell you what I say, and then we can have conversation in this Istagosti to determine what is what.
It is
Do you like
better
that?
because
I've been yearning for you to come back, Ashish. Do you like that idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do.
I think we're running out of time, Prabhus. It's 12 o'clock here.
Oh, no.
I'm very sorry. See,
I thought we couldn't be running out of time. I thought we were eternal.
when is your next
Wednesday?
session?
Wednesday.
So maybe I'll be sharing few things.
Yes, please. Yes, share and then come on Wednesday. Share and then come on Wednesday.
Now
I think it will be
WhatsApp.
Thursday for Indians and Vasisha on Mauritius.
Yeah.
Oh, I told my friend about this.
We are asking that in between on the WhatsApp program that you and I and everyone who joins in only discusses the points we discussed it in this Istagosti and elaborates on them. And then the next time, if there's disagreement, good. Disagreement must be there. We come in the next Istagosti, and then that disagreement is expressed. One of the things Prabhupada said about Istagosti is it is an arena in which you can express doubt.
Yes.
So doubt means not that I doubt you or people doubt them. People never doubt each other. They doubt themselves, right? And if they doubt themselves, then they blame the other guy.
Because somewhere I read whatever when we are stating something, when we are saying something, we should uphold our statements back from the Shastras. And Shastra here means Prabhupada's teachings. So whatever we say, we have to back it up from Prabhupada's statements. Whatever statements we have to back it from Prabhupada's teachings.
But in Istagosti, you don't have to quote anything. You speak it. And if somebody doesn't agree, then you show the quote. Because in Istagosti, we have to understand everyone is studying Prabhupada's writing. It's not a court of law where you have to prove your point. You simply speak. You don't prove a point in Istagosti. You speak your realization. So if you speak your realization, you don't have to back it up with anything. But if you're not backing it up with Prabhupada, then you don't have much of a realization.
How do I share the with someone?
Huh?
Excuse me?
I
want to invite someone.
Oh, send them the link. Send them the link that we posted on WhatsApp.
It's already very late.
Is it the
Do
same
you
every time?
understand how much you...
Not the same link, different link.
Okay.
differently.
Vachish,
It's already very late. Maybe you guys have to go to sleep and and tomorrow wake up early. So
Yeah.
better we stop it now and we continue.
Wednesday.
we can do. Now, Vachish, do you know how much you've been honored by Ramachandra tonight?
How? I don't know.
We ended this session 2 hours ago. And when you came on, we extended it for 2 hours. So now tomorrow morning, our eyes will be red from lack of sleep. But we were honored to have you. That's how honored you are from Ramachandra, from me, from Banu, from Shreyal, from everybody else from Matthew, everybody else on this forum.
It's 3 a.m. in Texas, right?
2
a.m. Okay, 2. Okay.
Oh,
So
I'm very sorry. Bro.
it's okay. So next.
So Matthew, if it's 3 a.m., you have 1 hour before you need to wake up.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. See everyone on next Wednesday.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
We are the brotherhood here.
Jai.
We are the brotherhood for the next 10,000 years. And you know, Vachish, we are not anxious to run off like little scared kids back to Godhead. Because what would we do? Get a beach chair and sit there and point at Krishna and say, oh, that's Krishna? No, we want to deliver the souls and come back to Godhead with 100 million people trailing behind us. And then we can come back, but only after we have, in the Madhyamadikari platform, we have actually gone to the extreme of attaining a reciprocal loving relationship with Krishna that we feel and he feels, and that he wants us to share in Krishna Loka. Therefore, the Kurtna Maya rolls up, we come under the protection of Yoga Maya, and we'll be able to see Krishna face to face. That is what Prabhupada said, go back to Godhead in this lifetime. We're eternal. Our lifetime stretches on for a bit. But in this lifetime, yeah, we're eternal. Let's go back to Godhead in this lifetime, no matter how many births it takes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
See everyone on Tuesday.
I want to honor and bless everyone here.